Megamaniacs, Mr. MegaManFan here, and if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and comment. You know all the things to do. Today we are looking at a game that's somewhat personal to me on Genesis Does. It's called The Ninja. As a reminder, Sega Master System games qualify for Genesis Does thanks to the Power Base Converter. You can play Master System games on a Sega Genesis, and many of them were exclusive to either the Master System or the Genesis, such as the Ninja, which you will not find on anything outside of a Sega platform, although you will find a different version of it on the same platform. Allow me to explain. The Ninja started out its life as a game called Ninja Princess, released to arcades by Sega in 1985, and subsequently ported to the SG-1000, the predecessor of the Sega Master System. The Mark III, the Sega Master System as we know it in North America, could play SG-1000 games. They were cross-compatible. So if you bought the Ninja and you already had Ninja Princess, that would kind of be a waste of time, because the Ninja is, for most intents and purposes, Ninja Princess with a new skin on it. Now, being a preteen in the 1980s with no access to the internet until the late 80s, early 90s, and even then there weren't retro gaming websites because there wasn't even a World Wide Web. What I'm trying to say is I had no knowledge of these events. I didn't know that the Ninja was a reskinned version of a Japanese game. I just knew that the local electronics and rental store that my friend Chris and I would go to had a copy of this sitting on the shelf, and it intrigued us. The Ninja. He had a Sega Master System. We were looking for games to play, so we rented The Ninja to find out what it was all about. And I quickly got hooked on this game, to the point that when I started collecting for Sega Master System a decade or so later, The Ninja was one of the first games I sought out because I had very fond memories of that time that Sir Crunch and I rented this game. Now, a few notes about the game. First of all, I think the reason that they changed Ninja Princess to the Ninja was out of this misguided notion that North American gamers wouldn't play a game starring a female protagonist. Everything had to be macho and manly and made for boys who want to be men. So, we're manly men. No princess will be our protagonist in a North American game. Even though a few years later, we would find out that gamers don't care about those kind of things. But back then, they perceived that Western audiences wouldn't go for it. To their shame, I would say. I would have had no problem playing a game called Ninja Princess. In fact, I probably would have thought that was much cooler than even a game called The Ninja. Second thing to note is that this game is kind of a shoot 'em up in disguise. Sometimes an auto-scrolling shooter, sometimes a horizontal scrolling shooter, most of the time a vertical scrolling shooter. And it's not hard to figure that out when you play these levels and you see waves of enemies coming at you from the top, and you can avoid their fire by scrolling backwards, which, to their credit, is not something that a lot of other shoot-em-ups did, and it almost makes it easy to cheese the game. But that didn't bother me as a kid. I was totally into the presentation because they do look like ninjas throwing ninja stars at you, so I wasn't thinking about the fact that it was a shoot-em-up in disguise. I was just enjoying the gameplay for what it was. Screens like this are a dead giveaway, though, when they show you how many shots you fired and what percentage of shots you landed. That's like Galaga, and I should have picked up on it at the time, but I was a dumb kid. What did I know? But yes, if somebody had told me it was a shoot-em-up, I wouldn't have even minded that, because I loved games like Galaga and Galaga 88 and Space Invaders and Galaxian and any kind of shooter that you could play, so no problem there. Just call it a shooter. It's fine. It's a shooter with a ninja skin on it. And it's a skin that's a reskin of another game that was a shooter with a ninja skin. There's a lot of reskinning going on here. And there's some tricky enemies too, like these ninjas that leap out behind buildings. So if you're not careful, not paying attention to where they are, you can get got quite quickly. But you can use the playfield to your advantage. You can force enemies to get stuck behind buildings, because if you can't maneuver around it, the enemy sprites can't maneuver around it. So use the terrain to your advantage. Scroll backward when you have to. Force enemies to do things like go around these Imperial gates, and you'll be able to just cordon them off and wipe them out en masse. And one of the things that I both like and dislike about this game is that there are scrolls you can pick up. Some of them seem to do nothing whatsoever for you. They just seem to be point bonuses or trophies. One in particular, a red scroll, gives you a more powerful shot. But while you're powered up with that shot, and keep in mind that power up doesn't wear off until you die, you get music that resembles the title screen music that plays continuously. And that's a shame, because the background music in this game is really good and really fun to listen to. So having the power up music overpower the standard music it just sucks. Like, if they could just play the music for a few seconds to let you know that you're powered up, and then go back to the regular background music, even if you got to keep the power up, that would be fine. But it almost makes you want to kill yourself and lose your powered up shot just so you can hear the music. And I can't think of why any game designer would design it that way. But I also think it's probably an artifact of them converting it over from Ninja Princess and not thinking about things like that when they were reskinning the game. They just figured, well, she's got this song that plays when she's at her strongest. So the male protagonist had to do the same thing. And speaking of things that are poorly designed, if you go to pricecharting.com and type in the ninja, you're going to get about 10,000 results because of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and every other game that has the word ninja in it. But eventually, if you just scroll long enough, you'll find it. Or you can just go to the Sega Master System tab and scroll down that and find it. But either way, it currently, as of the recording of this video, goes for $15.50 loose and $25 complete. Wouldn't call that cheap, but I also wouldn't call it excessive compared to what a lot of games are going for in the present day and age. It might be one to save for or try to find for a bargain. So I think it was a fairly common Sega Master System game, not hang-on levels of common, but not so uncommon that it's like Buster Douglas boxing either. You might be able to find it for less than $25 complete. To me, it's worth it. Not saying it is to everyone, but like I said, I have very fond memories of this game. It's easy to cheese it if you try. But that didn't bother me. I wanted a game that I could play through from start to finish when a rental was available, and the Ninja fit the bill. It turned out to be exactly the perfect game to rent, so it's going to be a favorite of mine for the rest of my life because of those childhood memories. Sometimes things just work out that way. The variety of levels is nice. The sound effects are pleasing. When the ninja stars collide with each other, when the enemy throws one and you throw one, there's a very satisfying metal clink. In the cliff diving level, when you get knocked off the cliff, your body makes a nice splash in the water. There's some very good presentational decisions made for the ninja. Even though playing the music endlessly when you're powered up was a bad decision, in other ways they made very good decisions. And I do love the Star Wars style scroll that goes up the screen at the beginning of the game that tells you the story. That way, even if you got this game as a rental game and it didn't come with the box or the instructions, you'd still know what was going on. I don't know if they had that in mind when they did it, but it works out that way. So I'm going to say they got most of this right. They didn't need to reskin it, and they didn't need to make the music play endlessly when you're at your best. But other than that, I think a lot of this works, and it's a good game to have in your library, whether you have a Sega Master System, a Sega Genesis, or an analog Mega SG using the Sega Master System cartridge adapter, or you're playing it on a Game Gear with a Master System adapter. Whatever you might be happening to do, it's a game you should check out. I'll even say emulate it. If you want to try it before you buy it, go ahead and do that, but I think in the end you'll probably want to buy it. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been Genesis Does. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in another video, but bye for now.
Genesis.